Hey, Woo, hey. It is day 10 of the DIDDLER trial, Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. There was no court on Friday, and there was no court yesterday due to Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. We are on the first day of week 3, day 10 of the DIDDLER trial. Let's get into the highlights of everything that went on. We're just going to go through the highlights of what was said, who was wearing what, and a couple of other things, you know what I'm saying? So, today we had Capricorn Clark on the stand. That is Diddy's ex-executive assistant. And also, she was also a creative director, I believe, something along those lines, to Cassie. So, her and Cassie were extremely close, and she worked for Diddy. So, she is a very much a good, credible witness. And you know, from what it has been said today, shout out to Tisa Tells, who I get my information from, and F off anyone who feels some type of way about her. But she gives the deed, she gives the good stuff. I have a couple of notes from a couple of other people, so things may overlap a little bit from what they told me and then from what Tisa told me. Y'all know the segment, Tisa Told Me. So let's get into today, shall we? Capricorn Clark, she is Diddy's ex-executive assistant, and she did testify today. Everybody's been waiting for her testimony. We know that she has a lot to say. We know that she has seen a lot, and my goodness, she has seen a lot. She gave a very emotional and compelling testimony today. She was very emotional. She was jittery. She was crying, basically. She was almost hysterical at some points. It was a lot for her. She had to relive a lot. It was very much like a PTSD moment. She went through a lot. So, first of all, shout out to her for even being brave enough to get on that stand and be able to face this monster, because that's exactly what he is. But she destroyed him, and Diddy is not getting out. She put this together so well that the RICO case is shining through now. Week 1, we could barely see where this was going. After Capricorn got off the stand today, oh honey, RICO is in big, bold, capital letters. So let's just get into the highlights of what she said, what she talked about, and what Mark had the nerve to try to get on her about. It's a lot. But also, before we start, congratulations are in order to Cassie. She was rushed to the hospital today while the trial was happening. She was rushed to the hospital. She is in labor having her baby, okay? No word on if it's premature or not, because we know that she was still going through term when she gave her testimony. And this is exactly what Diddy was hoping would happen when she was on the stand. Hoping that she would go into labor when all this was happening and they would never get a chance to finish cross-examining her or all that stuff, and they would have to halt the trial. No, honey. She did that, and now she is about to give this baby, okay? So let's just get into what Capricorn Clark had to say today, because she was the only witness that was on the stand today. She had a lot to say, so let's go. Capricorn Clark, Diddy's ex-executive assistant, testifies, and this seems the most damaging by far. She talks about text messages of threats to off her multiple times. Tisa described that Diddy today had on a black sweater, gray pants, I believe, a low top haircut. You know, kid had a high top. He had a low top, and you could see black under the gray. Now, if he was really gray, you would think he would want to go black, and you would see gray under the black when the new gray is coming in. But no, we saw black under the gray. So, did Diddy dye his hair gray to make himself look older and less intimidating? That may be what's happening here, because we didn't hear about, you know, any black under the gray before. And when we see in the sketches we see full gray. Well, today he had black under the gray. Maybe he didn't have time to dye his hair again, or maybe he ran out of commissary. I don't know. Something happened there, but that was the thing. I believe Holly was there. She is Diddy's PR. Capricorn wore a high-waist pencil skirt, a white shirt, burgundy heels. She was dressed to the T, looking good, obviously, you know, put it together. Because when people are doing these sketches, you want to make sure they get it right, you know what I'm saying? And if so happens, of course, someone's got to be taking some type of, you know, footage of this. You know, even though it's not for the public, they can still be taking the footage, right? I think so. So, in 96, she was an intern for Def Jam Records. They mentioned that both her parents are deceased. She has an autistic son. So she's been on her own trying to do her thing for a long time. All right. She got signed, or she had connections to Suge Knight. Then she went to go work with Diddy after that. I'm not sure what happened with Suge Knight, though. That's not an issue. But after Suge Knight, she went and worked for Diddy. She met Diddy in 2002. She was called to work for a design mogul for Sean John. In 2007, she became director for John Women Apparel, I believe. As she's explaining this is when Janice busts up in the courtroom in her 27-piece, okay, bust down. You know how Janice gonna come in looking like, you know, Miss Combs, Mama Combs. The first night where she went to work for Diddy, this is where it comes in why it was important that she used to work for Suge Knight. So the first night that she worked for Diddy, her, Diddy, and I guess the guard at the time or security was Paul. Gene Deal calls him Uncle Paul. So we gonna call him Uncle Paul. Uncle Paul came in with Diddy, and they took Cassie. They took Capricorn to Central Park, and there they threatened her life. They literally threatened her life, thinking that she may be the op because she used to work for Suge. And he says, you know, basically, if let me find out anything that you an op or anything type of way, you're done for. You're done. She's done. She's done. She's done. You know, like Nene. Yeah. So your first night, you're being threatened like this in Central Park. Like that's crazy. And at night, dead at night. Come on now, that's crazy. The first time she witnessed Diddy with a firearm, he was doing press for MTV. Like, what are you doing with a gun what are you doing with that when you're just doing press for MTV? Like, what are you doing? What are you into to where you gotta have a fume for that? I'm just trying to figure that out. In 2004, she was Capricorn accused of theft from stealing a necklace, a bracelet, and a watch. Apparently they were traveling and she was in charge of Diddy's jewelry. She was his executive assistant. She was in charge of Diddy's jewelry, and then she realized that she didn't have it. And so she's like, whoa, stop the car. Where is it? We've got to find it, all this other stuff. So she's looking for it. Everyone's looking for it. It never gets found. All right. So she gets blamed for theft. Diddy thinks she stole it. I'm sure he probably took it. He was high one moment, and did that. You know, who knows? This isn't the first time that Diddy has accused someone of taking his jewelry. This is the first time he's misplaced his jewelry. Diddy is known for accusing someone besides himself when things come up missing. So the next day they came, and Paul later went and searched her house for it, looking for this jewelry. And the next day, After they didn't find it, you know, the next day, sorry about that, Daddy Confessions called, so had to answer that. Checking on this baby girl. Anyway, back to Capricorn. So Paul comes to her house, searches her house, and she doesn't find anything. Next day, she's basically kidnapped. She was kidnapped. Not basically, she was kidnapped. Came and got her. Paul came and got her, took her to this, basically an abandoned building, which is supposed to be a new office space for Bad Boy. Not sure if that's what it ended up coming into, but at the moment when she went there, it was just this abandoned building, and it was just worse. The walls, the everything was just bad. It looked like nobody loved it. And when they got to the top floor, it was even worse than the bottom floors. It was terrible. And when she gets in there, there's a folded table, all right? A folded table. And this man she's never seen a day in her life, this big bulky man about 5 times her size, just sitting down in a chair drinking black coffee, not saying a word. And Paul leaves her with this man to polygraph test her. Yeah, Diddy's still on about this, you know, the jewelry, I'm guessing. I don't know if he just asked about the jewelry or if he also asked about, you know, Suge Knight and if she's the ops and all of this. But 5 days, kidnapped her in this building and asking her questions. And she's hysterical. She's scared for her life. And it keeps coming back inconclusive because she can't get her emotions together to take this test, because what the hell is this, right? So the guy ends up telling her, like, look, you need to calm down, because if you don't, and we can't get a read on you, you're about to be in the East River. Multiple times he threatened that she is going to end up in the East River. I am going to need them to go check out the East River, because what's in there? Who's in there? Who we gonna find? We might find Jimmy Hoffa in there. No, they said we found Jimmy Hoffa, right? Anyway, this isn't the time for jokes. The woman was kidnapped for days. And when she was finally released, you know, she had to sign an NDA, so she can't say nothing. She's scared for her life if she does. You know, she's finally released. She goes back to work, because what else are you going to do? She has no one. Her parents are gone. And she has an autistic child she needs to take care of. Like, her options were limited. And so she goes back. You know, a lot of them went back. You know, we will never understand how that works until we're in that situation. But a lot of them went back. Cassie went back. This is what happens. All right? This is what happens. And so she goes back. She goes back to work. And Diddy doesn't even question her about anything, because this was all done at the hands of Diddy. But he doesn't mention it. He doesn't say anything. She doesn't mention it. She doesn't say anything. It's like life just went back to normal, and those 5 days never happened. It was wild. It was wild. That is wild. That is insane. And while she's making this testimony, like, her voice is trembling. She's reliving all of this. And it's just like, wow. Can you just imagine being in the courtroom, being a juror, listening to this? Like, this is actually happening. And then to look at the man who's responsible for this, who's right there in the room as well. This is a movie. This is an absolute movie. So she felt she had to stay. She, you know, it was the power. What could she do? Like I say, never reached out to her. He never said nothing. She talks about how times she never had breaks. She was only getting 4 hours of sleep. He was giving her $65K a year, but he basically owed her $80K in overtime. Like, he just demanded her time. That is one thing about Diddy I have found out. When you work for him, like, your time is his. Your life is his. Like, it doesn't even matter. You don't have a life. And he basically said that to her. We're going to get to that part because I wrote that down. I remember writing that down, how he said, you don't have a life when you work for me, basically. She mentioned how when they went to the hotels and everything, all of the girls that he was with always checked in under the alias Jackie Star, and he would always check under the alias Frank White or Frank Black, which one. Because wasn't Biggie Frank White and he was Frank Black? Yeah, because on the pill bottles that they took from the raid, the name on there is Frank Black, which is a complete false name, and you're not supposed to do that. That's illegal. What else went on? Oh, she brings up Lauren London and the fact of we were sure if we figured that maybe Lauren London could not that cool with Cassie at the time or not, because when she's telling this story, Cassie was not even in the room with them. But we later find out that Cassie wasn't allowed to be in the room with them, basically. That is just wild. Just, you can't even be around certain women. It's just, what? How does that work? But anyway, she goes on to tell this little bit tidbit story of a time where she was like in the kitchen or in another room with Lauren London. And Diddy comes into the room and he calls Cassie in. And he starts ordering Cassie around. Go pick that up over there. Go put that over there. Take this over here. Come to me. Bring me the remote. Change that right there. Sit down right here. Like, he was ordering her around like a dog to do all these little itty bitty things just to make her do it. Then after she did it, he told her, leave. And when she left, he gonna tell the girls, that's why you bees aren't ever going to have a man like me, because you don't do that. And Capricorn was like, you're damn right I don't do that. You're damn skippy, basically. Because, like, what? And that was a perfect reaction. Like, you damn right I ain't ever going to have a nigga like you. Because I don't want one. I know that had to make him mad. She talks about how in 2006, he would, he had her go get some Colombian dancing dust. I guess she refused. She refused to do the drugs herself, because I believe she said her mother had, maybe the mother had overdosed or passed away from that or whatever, or it wasn't bad. It was in her family before and it wasn't good, so she refused to do, the medications, we gonna call them here. So, and other meds, like, she just refused them. She talks about how Diddy maxed out his pills that he could get. And so she had to start getting them in her name. The Molly and the perks and the ecstasy, like all of that. All of those pills, she had to start getting them in her name because he had reached his max. Can you imagine getting so much drugs that you don't reach your max? He would give them to his girlfriends and his friends. And there's Eureka right there. Especially if she used the card or whatever to go get this stuff. Because I don't think they mentioned the fact of if it was cash or if they used the COMBS Global LLC card or whatever that she would use or they would use to purchase things when he had no business doing that with the company card. She says she's witnessed Diddy throw phones and hit people. Oh my goodness. And then she went in, the longest thing I think was her testimony was talking about the whole story with Kid Cudi. She was there that night. So apparently there was that night, she witnessed all of that. He had came and got her one night and she was in her house that was paid for by Diddy LLC, whatever. But he did not have a key. So he was banging on the door. And he had a weapon. She could tell by the way he was moving and all of that stuff because he was walking and he was doing a lot of going back and forth. And you know, you can't see, if they're that close to the door, you can't see, you can only see so much. You can't see the lower down the closer they are. But when he would start to pace it a little bit, and she could get a better view of his figure and how his mannerisms and his posture and all that, she could tell that he was holding on to something as if it could have been a pew-pew. And later it seemed to be, because he told her to get dressed. You're coming with me, basically, because he done found out that she knows about Cassie and Kid Cudi. And she told Cassie, like, don't be bringing him around like that. Don't be doing that, because you're going to get us all offed. You were going to get us all offed. And that's exactly how things went down. So he came and got her and said, we about to go up to Kid Cudi. He had a pew-pew. She felt she had to go. So she did. It was about a 20-minute ride. They get there. They go. The gate opens. She could see straight through what was going on. She takes that opportunity to call Lauren London on a burner phone. And she's just like letting them know, like, this is happening to me. If anything happens, this is what's happening. And then she either called Cassie or Lauren London called Cassie on three-way to let her know what was going on. Later, Diddy came back and he looked at Capricorn's phone and seen the last number that she called. He was like, call that number back. Call back. Of course, Cassie answers. So he tells her to tell Cassie to bring her tail on, basically, because he's not going to let Capricorn go until Cassie gets there. This is wild. Cassie was with Kid Cudi at the moment. And that is when Kid Cudi finds out that this nigga is at my house. Yes. So all of this is going on. She told the story in a way that cannot be told by anyone else. I mean, all of this happened basically at 5:30 in the morning. And by the time they get to Kid Cudi's house, it's like, what? All of this happened so much. So much happened between 5:30 and before noon. Like, all of this is going on in the wee hours of the morning. The morning. Imagine this is your morning. Imagine this is your morning. Huh. So yeah, when he told her to get dressed, he was like, get dressed, we going to hurt him. She walked in front of him the whole time. And when they got in the car, he sat in the back with her and had the weapon on his lap the whole time. So that's how she knew he, in fact, did have a weapon. Got to the house, entered the gate, and all that great stuff. So that is when Tisa had to go back into the courthouse, because it was time, the break was over, and it was time for Capricorn to finish off her finish her testimony. So they come back, and that's when she gave the news that Cassie had finally gone into labor. And that is when the prosecutor went to do cross-examine. They tried to poke holes in her story, but it really didn't do anything. It didn't really do them anything. They were pressuring her for names that, you can't remember 20 years ago from now. She might have said John and the man's name was Jake. Like, big deal. So they were trying to poke holes in little itty-bitty things. Talk about Cassie wasn't allowed to be around the other girls. She mentioned how Diddy went to an orphanage in Russia, in Kazakhstan, or whatever it's called. And then at some point when Diddy left, the kids went missing. And we never found the kids, I guess. I've never even heard about that. But that was part of the testimony. Can we find them kids in Russia? Like, what are you doing in Russia with little kids? And why are they missing now? And where are they? PD in 2004, he had a girlfriend in New York to get him other rugs that he had going on, X and Molly. He had a girlfriend in New York to go get those. Had them delivered to Capricorn's house. He always gave pills to the girlfriends and friends. In 2006, he tells the story about how Pharrell's manager came over, and she came to the Star Island, and she took him to another part of Star Island or whatever. Diddy found out, got mad, basically told her she's not allowed to leave, not allowed to do this or that and the third. She's not allowed to have a life. She works here. You can't have a life. Basically, you told her, how you gonna tell somebody you can't have a life? It's, baby. The next day, Chef Jordan, she went to the kitchen. She was looking for some turkey bacon, I believe. And basically, she was asking Chef Jordan, because Chef Jordan was the chef at the time. And I guess there wasn't no bacon, and she was like, oh, I hate it here. You know how you get. Like, dang. Especially when you're hungry. Like, oh, I hate it here. You just say that. So, I don't know why, but the chef, punk ass, went back to Diddy and snitched and said, oh, she said she hates in here. I don't know what the point of him doing that was. Like, that was some bitch shit. Sorry, I had to say it. But that is some B-I-T-C-H S-H-I-T. S-H-I-T. Like, seriously, what are you doing? Over some bacon, you know? And Diddy went and confronted her. And was basically lunging at her and pushing at her. Like, you don't like it here? You can get the fuck out. Basically, you don't like it here? You can go. You don't like it here? Like, just pushing her and pushing her and pushing her. Using, like, 75% of his strength, she felt. And that's what she said. 75% of his strength. And she left. When she left them. She didn't want to work directly with him, all right? So she wanted to go back and she wanted to work for Sean John Global for women, and she didn't have to work under him. She didn't have to work under him anymore. And that's how she came to be Cassie's creative manager and all of that stuff also. There was another time in 2011, he was going between Kim and Cassie. Now, the way that this was said, I don't know if possibly Kim could have been part of a freak off one or two before. And maybe Cassie and Kim, who might have been around at the same time, within the vicinity of the freak off. That was blurred over, so we're not going to pay attention to that much. But that was something there. Hopefully I can get that cleared up later on. You're talking about how Cassie would bring Cuddy to her apartment, and Capri was concerned about her. And burner phone, the way she moved, she said that she's going to get both of them murked because of the way she was moving with Kid Cudi. I mean, at this point, Cassie probably thought, like, I don't care. He already beats my ass anyway. What else do I really got to lose? Like, what else can he really do to me? What he did to Kim, possibly? Mark Anafilio was on the fact when she called, she didn't mention the pew-pew to Lauren London or whatever. She's like, oh, so you didn't mention that to them? She goes on to keep saying, like, dude, it wasn't about her at the time. This was about me. This was about my safety. Am I going to be alive at the end of the night? And if I'm not, somebody needs to know what happened and how and who and why. It wasn't about Cassie. It was about me, my safety. I was thinking about me. You know, it was about the pew-pew that he had over in there with them and this lover's quarrel and all of this. Like, no, this was about me. Sorry. Yeah, Mark is trying it. Like, there's... Whew. He gonna be able to retire after this, though. Because he taking all of Diddy's money. And they about to get this man off not nothing. Then he also mentioned the fact that, oh, did you call Lauren first? And why didn't you call Cassie first? Again, this was not about Cassie. This was about me. She keeps saying, I mean, she's historical and she's emotional. She's talking about this, you know. It's like, Mark is just an asshole. So then, when they were leaving, they stopped. When they left Kid Cudi's, they had stopped at a club, at the club parking lot. And she called Cassie again. And this is when Diddy wouldn't let her go until Cassie came. So Cassie basically had to come to her rescue, knowing what was going to happen to her, in order for her to let go. So when she got there, Diddy was irate and everything. He proceeded to basically whoop Cassie's tail right in front of everyone. In the lobby, basically. Like, literally kicking and stomping on her. On all of this stuff. And Ruben was there, the security at the time, because Ruben's the one who brought Cassie to him. And Ruben didn't do anything. Now, Ruben is V-Rock's brother, who should probably is going to be testifying and probably a co-conspirator, Diddy. But he's his brother. And Capricorn's calling him because, like, dude, tell your brother to do something. He is literally just kicking Cassie's ass and nobody is doing a thing about it. Kicking her everywhere, her stomach, her back, and like kicking her, stomping her. Like, it sounded worse than the video that we all got to see at the hotel. It was bad. It was so bad. She was just cancer. She was just in a fetal position. This is basically his go-to, and that's all she knows how to do at some point. Just fight or flight, and she just, she just stands there. Like, that's all she can do at this point. Nobody is helping her. Nobody is doing anything. She's probably not even asking for help at this point herself, because you see how they did on the private plane. It's just sick how everyone can just be around and not do anything. And Capricorn is the only one trying to. Capricorn is the only one being vocal about it. And so after she gets off the phone, Diddy's upset at her now. Oh, you want to call people? You want to call the police on me? Like, what are you going to do? You know what? You get the fuck out too. It made her walk home miles in the dark. No, it was in the daytime. Whatever time it was, because it's all worked together at this point. But had her walking home miles and miles and miles. It is crazy. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. My freaking video just stopped on me. Anyway, so Capricorn witnesses Diddy just beat Cassie down and then tells her to walk home alone. All of this happened within hours from each other. She calls Cassie's mom. That's where I was. She calls Cassie's mom. She tells Cassie's mom what happened, because she signed an NDA. She can't go to police. She can't do anything, but Cassie's mom can. Cassie's mom can do with the information what she will. And Cassie's mom, that's her mom, so of course she will. So she told Cassie's mom. She goes on to say that between December 2011 to December 2012, Diddy had threatened her a good 50 times over. And then after all is said and done, Diddy told her that she can't be friends with Cassie anymore. Who are you to tell two grown-ass women they can't be friends? This is what's wrong with this man. She went to go tell Harvey Pierre all of this that happened. She went to confide in him. And you want to know what Harvey Pierre did? He went and told Diddy everything. Now, I don't know if he went and told him to, or went and told him to, But either way, it comes back, that's how he go fire her. Fired her because she didn't properly ask for a vacation. He fired her because of that. Yeah, sure, Jan. Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's how that went down. So PD told her she's gonna, and then after all was said and done, he told her he was going to make her off herself. Who does that? The Diddler does. He told this woman he was going to make her off herself. She just lost her parents. She is struggling to make ends meet the best way she can to take care of her child. And you want to fire her over some BS and then blackball her from the industry and then tell her that he's going to make her off herself? Sir. So after that, she decides she's done. She leaves. She's done. She goes and she goes to work for Chris Lighty. She wants to work for Chris Lighty. Now Chris got a rise of perspiration. Now Chris Lighty is the man that basically put 50 Cent all the way on, the whole vitamin water situation, all that's Chris Lighty. So Capricorn goes to work for him. And the day before she's supposed to start working for him, Chris Lighty passes away. Yeah, we're not blaming that one on Diddy, but kind of funny. Not funny like ha ha, if you know what I mean. So basically, Capri never got another job in the industry after that. After that, it was like, whatever. And, but the messiness at the end of this day, which was just absolutely just disgusting on so many levels, as far as what you would call yourself a a polished, good lawyer. I don't know, but this is just petty. Like, Mark, you have no morals. Like, really. Because we know you did this straight up for Diddy. Because this is the type of time that Diddy is on. So this was totally a Diddy moment. So Mark goes to ask Capricorn, does she think that Cassie is talented? Her answer was, Cassie has talent. And so I guess Mark could read between the lines. And he's like, or he knows where he's really going with this, even though she's trying not to. And he says, so what's the difference? And she goes on to say, you know, she has talent. I would say a talented person is basically Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey type of deal. But, you know, she has talent. So I guess he didn't get what he really wanted there. So then he went a little bit deeper and he was like, did you tell Cassie that she should drop Diddy and get a new man? And Capricorn was like, yes, I did. And then he followed up with, what did Cassie say? What was her reaction? Did she say, who would I date? Jay-Z's already taken. Did she say that? And basically, you know, I guess she did say that because Capricorn answered, yeah, basically. And that was the end. No further questions, Your Honor. And that was it. That's how he wanted to leave that. That's the pettiness that Diddy is on. You are so concerned about Cassie, you are not even thinking about all of the other stuff, sir. This is not just about Cassie. This is about you and your rugs and your firearms and your RICO and your organized crime and all of this. This is what this is about. But you cannot see past the women. You cannot see past it. That is something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you. So that was the testimony for today for day 10. Tomorrow may be a little dry or boring because it's supposed to be some people that are going to be on the stand talking about the technical stuff and just some other things that aren't just mind-blowing testimony. But yeah, it's going to be like financial stuff, speculation of the technical stuff, and all of that type of deal. So that may be what's on Diddy's computers, what they found when they raided him on his computers and phones. We still have to see what's on Cassie's phone and MacBook. So that may be what we may be getting. So it could be interesting, could be not. We don't know. But I'm definitely going to be watching Tisa Tells tomorrow so she can tell me. And then I'm going to come and give it to y'all so y'all can get it a little bit quicker than she would. But go follow Tisa Tells so y'all can understand what I'm talking about, when I'm talking about, and y'all can help me out in the comments. You know, say what you need to say. But shout out to Tisa because she gave me a shout out today. And because of that, I actually did get a new follower. And thank you to you, that follower. You my new girl. I'll see y'all tomorrow for day 11, baby.